Well, you read the title. You already know exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be reviewing every single non-player controlled faction in the game. Unlike my previous video where I went over player controlled factions, in today's video, I'm just going to be focusing on non-player controlled factions, the factions that are not controlled by any of the players, they're controlled by the devs. In a way, uh, the map that you see in the center is not the accurate map, but it kind of does resemble kind of what the world looks like, and just getting a real gist of like what what's to come. If you guys would like to see more videos like this, please let me know. Please let me know down in the comments below. Let's get straight into this. The faction of Berglund is the first faction I'll be reviewing today. This faction plays a extremely important role in Tradelands. It is by far one of the most important factions within the game. Tradelands has a lot of interaction with Berglund, or sorry, the Grand Isles, and plays a pivotal role. Berglund is visitable within the game. As you can see, I'm pointing toward the map. It is directly above the main map. So if you go, just keep heading north, past Harrisburg, you'll eventually reach Berglund. The Berglund, like mini continent, I like to call it, is extremely massive. Its three islands are way bigger than any island within the Grand Isles. The pointing toward a picture for a better perspective, Berglund is pretty impressive faction, especially with its explorable in-game island. It's also one of the only factions mainland that you can also explore. Berglund is responsible for creating most of the European-inspired ships, so flutes, galleons, frigates, things that are just like when you think of like pirate ships. Berglund is responsible for making that. Like 70-80% of all ships in the shipwright, you can count on it being made by Berglund. Berglund hosts a whole lot of important inventions, really. You know, they create lots of materials. They have a island in the main game, or the main map, I should say, which is known as Harrisburg. It's to the northeast of the map. Berglund's main island is extremely massive. As you can see, there's a royal palace right smack in the middle of the main island. There's a fort. There's another picture just to show how large the port is. All the other sub-islands have their own sort of designated spots as well. This is pointing toward the kind of a small island fortress, which is in itself really impressive. Every single even the smallest island in the Berglund map is way bigger than all the Grand Isle islands. Probably you can combine all those Grand Island islands into one, and it'll still be smaller than Berglund. There's just another picture to show the scale of how large Berglund really is. Berglund is responsible for making tons of ships, as I said before. There's a massive dockyard which shows one of the very limited ships, which I'll go over in just a second. Berglund created the Mars. This is the most recent variant, or most recent addition to Tradelands. And this, of course, created by Berglund as a variant to the Ceres class cargo ship. If you guys would like to see a video about that, please let me know down in the comments below. That is the Mars. Pretty impressive ship. I really enjoy the Mars. I think it's a really cool ship. Moving on. Berglund is also known notoriously for their creation of the Hind, Hind, however you pronounce it. It is one of the most sought after ships in all Tradelands. And it's Berglund's pretty much main ship. This was given during an auction. Berglund's also responsible for creating the Terrapin, which is, I'm pretty sure, the most impressive ship in the game. It is only limited. It's limited to only roleplay and developers. However, it is still really impressive to see, especially if you're lucky enough to see it used in game. It has there's so much I could talk about it. If you guys like an in-depth review of the Terrapin or any of these other Berkeley ships, do let me know. Berglund is also responsible, and well, they host the Berglund Royal Games, which kind of acts as like the Tradelands Olympics. It's a really cool event, especially if you're lucky enough to participate in it. You can win some awesome prizes. Overall, Berglund really just has a lot of stuff going for it, and it's one of the better factions. Now we're going to be moving on to the next faction. The next faction is, of course, the Prashovian Federation. The Prashovian Federation is one of the most popular factions within Tradelands. I personally love these guys just as much as the next guy. Prashovian Federation has a lot of history and a lot of connections with the main Tradelands game. Or sorry, Grand Isles. I keep kind of confusing that. If I refer to Tradelands and Grand Isles as one and the same, but you know about that. Kind of made a mistake with circulating these provinces. But as I was trying to say, Prashovia is divided into 3 different provinces, states, whatever you like to call them. The first one being Normandy, as I highlighted before, the center being Central Prashovia, and to the north is the province of Moria. I'll be referring to them as provinces, or like different states. Within the inner state of Prashovia, there is the city of Dresden and Terranfort, Terranfort being the capital of the Prashovian Federation. As you can see, a sort of rebellion sort of happened between Normandy and the rest of Prashovia, which led to them, I believe, creating the Wyvern class ship. And due to Normandy kind of being really linked in with the Prashovians, I decided to showcase it here with all the Prashovian inventions. Talking about Prashovia, Prashovia is responsible for creating several warships, mainly the Poseidon, Megalodon, Demeter, and the Ares, all come from Prashovia, which are each of them impressive ships in their own right. I have pictures of them down below, and I'll explain each one of them shortly. Prashovia is just really impressive. Going down, I'm showing you guys the Poseidon. The Prashovian Poseidon is one of Prashovia's greatest inventions, I'd say. It is the first, or one of the first ironclads ever added to the game, and is kind of Prashovia's iconic ship. When you think of Prashovia, you might think of the Poseidon. I certainly think of the Poseidon. Ares is also the creator of the nefarious, the infamous, the absolutely despicable Ares. The Ares is an awesome warship. It is highly sought after, and rightly so. It is such a unique ship. If you guys would like more information and in-depth kind of analysis of the Ares, do let me know. It was sold during an auction, so it is an auction ship. You cannot obtain it via normal means. Prashovians also created the Megalodon, as I highlighted just there. Prashovians have also created the Demeter. Demeter is actually one of my favorite ships. I personally own the Demeter. It's a super nice ship. I'd heavily recommend trying to pick it up if it ever releases ever again. If it doesn't, it's a shame. However, it did re-release recently, or maybe like 1-2 years ago, so maybe it'll come back again. Demeter is a great ship. Moving on to the next ship, Prashovia has created a lot of different ironclads, namely the Hydra. I'm not sure if this is actually the Hydra that I'm showing you guys now. I can't really find a confirmed picture of the Hydra, but the Hydra is a very, very interesting ship. It is one of the fan favorites, and I just do not have a picture of the Hydra, but I do have the picture of the Cyclops. Sorry, the Cyclops is pretty impressive alone. There's also the Prashovian Medusa. The Medusa is actually owned by a few players. It's an extremely rare sight to see in game, but there are a few players. Of course, I'm trying to exclude mods and the developers as well, but there are a few regular players who do own the Medusa. As you can see here, that is the Medusa. It is a variant of the Ares. The Onager is what I would call kind of the Prashovian mothership, flagship type ironclad. It is Prashovia's main kind of like star attraction, I would like to say. A player does own this, of course, excluding mods and developers. He is Cursed Krampus. If you guys do not know who Cursed Krampus is, Loki, if you guys want to see a video about me talking about Cursed Krampus, I definitely will do that. He is a pretty well-known person within the community, mainly by his extreme wealth, and he is I think the only owner of the Onager who is not a mod or developer, which is pretty cool. I also have reason to believe that the Prashovians also created the Minoclad, although it's not confirmed. I just believe with the evidence within the game that the Minoclad was also created by the Prashovian Federation. but I am not 100% sure, and it's not confirmed. But I'd say you could take my word for it and say that the Minnow Cloud was created by the Pshovians. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for every single warship that the Pshovians have made. They make a lot of ironclads mainly, and I'm going to be moving on to visitable islands that are owned by Pshovia. Pshovia does have a few islands within the game. However, there's only one that you can visit via normal means, being Clydesdale, that I just highlighted right now. Clydesdale is the only island that is visitable within the game that is owned by Pshovia. However, there are some more islands which are roleplay locked and are still visitable via roleplay events. These islands being Westermere and the island of Lissy. I'll highlight them in the map so you can kind of see them. I also believe that you can visit Swanborough. However, I just do not have a picture of Swanborough, but I believe that a few battles were fought there. Highlighted Lissy is just right below Swanborough, and Westermere is right there, fairly close to the capital city of Terranfort. However, Terranfort is still unknown to us, and we haven't been able to visit Terranfort just yet. The Pshovian Federation is also known for its extremely exquisite materials. They've created the Lycian steel from Lissy, the Pshovian Purse steel, which is one of the most popular resources in the game. Pshovian steel. There's also Morian hardwood, which comes from, you guessed it, the province of Moria, that I just highlighted right there. If you guys would like to see more videos about those provinces, I'll try to get in as much knowledge as I can. However, I'm just talking mainly about the Pshovian Federation as a broad scale and a general sense, so I'm not going to be talking about them now. Pshovia did not always have the same flag. As you can see, I highlighted the original Pshovian flag and this flag, which is supposed to resemble the Kingdom of Pshovia. However, now I believe it is just like the state flag or province flag of Terranfort. I'm not completely sure, but it is called the Kingdom of Pshovia flag. However, the Pshovia Federation is not really a kingdom, it's a federation of different Pshovian provinces that I went over before. Overall, Pshovia is known for its heavy usage of technology. I just circled one of the really well-known turrets. It is called an Ares turret. That just proves further that Pshovia is that technological master, utilizing ironclads, turrets, heavy artillery, and weaponry that no other faction has access to. Now I'll be going over the next faction, which are like the sworn enemies of Pshovia, and I think you guys already know what faction I'm going to be talking about. And this faction, of course, would be Inyola. Now, the faction of Inyola is a very interesting faction. There's actually not too much known about it. However, there is a lot of basic information that I'll go over. Inyola is very heavily inspired by all of East Asia. This includes Korea, Japan, China, of course, all during the feudal era. I think that gives Inyola a really unique vibe, especially since it's like the only kind of faction of its kind, being like the Asian inspired faction, and it's located extremely far away, all the way to the east, like far, far east. There are rumors that it's like supposed to be 14 whole days away of just like sailing east, but I can't verify that theory. Inyola is responsible for creating tons of junk rigged ships. Sorry, they're responsible for the Serpent, the Kirin, the Tapin, the Kraken, the Behemoth that I just highlighted right now is actually one of Inyola's more mysterious ships. It is a developer-owned ship and has only been spawned in a very few times. It is supposed to be Inyola's like mothership class warship, something like that. However, I've never seen the Behemoth in game, unfortunately. There's very few pictures of it, but it is a very unique warship. They're also responsible for creating the Komodo, which you have to use a blueprint for, the Fang, and as well as the Corsair, which was actually created by Inyolan rebels, not by the Inyolan Empire itself. Inyola has also created the Pangolin, which is like the highly sought after warship of Inyola. It's like their main thing. It was given off during the Inyolan auction, where you could purchase the Pangolin. There's only very few of these in existence for player owned. They are one of my favorite. I think it might just be my favorite ship. It is an awesome ship. I love the design of it, and a lot of people also love the design of the pangolin. An extremely exclusive ship. If you guys would like to see me going over a video of just auctions in general or just the pangolin, go ahead, let me know down in the comments. Yola is responsible for making a lot of artifact weapons as well. As you can see, I highlighted the very unique dragon weapons. There's an auction. Now there is a Enyolan island which is visible within the game, known as Moreau. However, it is not marked on the map, and it is located in the Eastern Isles, which is directly east of the main map. Moreau does have a small colony, as I just highlighted there. Moreau is visitable, and at that island, you're able to kind of just examine the Enyolan architecture. You're able to kind of just see tons of Enyolan items, and it really just shows you kind of what the Enyolan culture is and what perhaps the rest of Enyola might look like if we were able to visit it. Enyola is known for their raw resource known as Enyolan oak, which is a very highly sought after material. It's similar to Prashovia in price and in value and in just what's the word I'm looking for? In hmm, in demand. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. It's very high in demand. Enyola does have a couple clans. They are relatively new. There's not much known about these different clans. However, I do have a couple pictures of the clans here. There's the clan of Kagara, Kadeki, and Shinzeki. I'm probably butchering those names. Don't fight me about it. Sorry. Enyola also did have brief contact with the rest of the Grand Isles, having some Tradelands roleplay events, including Enyola taking over Whitecrest briefly and building a fort. However, if you watch my previous video, I did shed light about that topic, and Enyola obviously no longer owns any portion of Whitecrest. So just overview the whole faction. Enyola is one of my favorite factions. It is a pretty gnarly faction. It has a lot of stuff going for it. It has so much lore, so much history. There's a lot of different kind of factors that contribute to Enyola. Enyola's policy of trying to keep out foreign influences and invasion and being really combative against Prashovia kind of just adds the uniqueness of Enyola, making it one of my most favorite factions within the game. Now we're going to be moving on to the next faction, which is extremely mysterious, way more so than just Enyola. This faction, of course, would be the Awukai. I might have just butchered their name right there. I'm not sure exactly if it's Awukai, Okai, Akai. It doesn't really matter. They're just the really mysterious people. Now, there's really not much known about these guys. They're a bunch of raiders, Vikings, barbarians, whatever you want to call it. From this excerpt that I got from the Tradelands wiki, kind of just shows how little we know about them. The Awukai have created a couple ships, the confirmed one being the Pillagers, the Akai Pillager made by, or was given out during an auction. The Pillager was available to be crafted for a bit, and the Awukai might have been responsible for the creation of the Koi, the War Koi, and the Tetra. However, it is not confirmed, so do not take my word for it. However, there is strong evidence in support of them creating those ships. The Awukai do have connections with Halingar. They speak a similar language within the lore. However, I don't believe that the Halingar knows much of anything about the Awukai just as much as the next guy. However, it is cool that they do have connection with them. The Awukai might live on the continent of Balresk or somewhere else, but we just don't know where they are. We don't know what direction. We know it's north, but we don't know what direction north. We don't know northeast, northwest, north where. The Awukai have a lot of traces in the game via their really unique artifacts. They have some really cool artifacts. Like that's probably one of my favorite artifacts. I mean, look at that. It's a big crossbow, super cool. The Awukai have tons of crazy artifacts. It really makes them unique. But apart from that, and their unique longhouse, which was also given out during an auction. Like I said before, if you guys want to see me make a video about auctions or auction items, specific items, maybe try to get an interview with somebody from those auctions, go ahead, let me know down in the comments. Just let me know what you guys like to see. I'll try to make it work. But I feel like that's going to have to do it in for Aokai. An overview. They are really mysterious people, really cool theme. But I just don't know much about them, don't know anything about them. So that leaves us with one option, and that's to move on to the next faction, which is arguably even more mysterious. This faction is Carteria. We're not sure about a lot of anything with these guys. We don't even know their form of government. It could be a sultanate, kingdom, nation, democracy. We don't know. Pirates. There's just so much we don't know about the Carterians, but they are a really unique faction, being located somewhere deep in the south. We do know that they've created a lot of the Lantine type ships, mainly being or confirmed to be the Brigand and the Ibis. These two ships are fan favorites. They're super useful ships. They have created the Carterian bronze resource, the faction related material, which is a pretty cool, honestly, one of my favorite materials in the game. We do know that the Carterians did help Nassau in some way by sending them some brigands. However, they didn't really send any Carterian warriors or anything, so we never really got a good look at the Carterians and their full mightiness, I suppose you could say. Carteria does have a few cool unique artifacts, being these really cool Sultan scimitars, which is probably one of my, or maybe my favorite artifact. There's also the Scarab Blade. We know that Carteria is located somewhere in the desert, but that really doesn't help us too much. Even an excerpt from Tradelands Wiki just shows how little we know about Carteria. Nobody knows anything about these guys. I don't even think the developers fully made the lore for these guys yet, so they don't even know what to do with the Carterians just yet. But I'm sure in the future we'll get to know just a little bit more about them. Now, this leaves us with just moving on to the next and final segment of this video. This is the final segment, and I'll just be talking about kind of physical traces and evidence about these factions. Unfortunately, as you can see, Carteria and the Aokai do not have a cape, which is pretty unfortunate. Maybe in the future they will have a cape, as it is only March 2025. But they do have a couple flags, which you can get redeeming prize tokens in Yola, and I believe Birkeland also have that. However, the Aokai and the Carterians and the Yolan prize tokens are by far the most valuable and by far the hardest to get. I don't even think there's any more left. I'm pretty sure most of them, if not all of them, have already been redeemed. I'm not sure exactly how you get them in the first place, but whatever. Moving on to the Inyolan Sashimonos. These are the different clans. There's 3 different clans so far confirmed in the game via these 3 Sashimonos. The Inyolans also have a cape within the game, which is extremely valuable. I believe it's anywhere from 15 to 20 million. It's extremely expensive cape. It is the most expensive cape out of all of these factions that are presented to you right now. The Brashovians have 3 different capes in the game, starting off with the Brashovian Navy cape, which is with the iconic 3 stars. That's like the Brashovian Federation's main flag. Brashovians have also created the regular original Brashovian cape, as you can see I'm highlighting down in the middle, which has that kind of that interesting modded design, as well as the Brashovian Kingdom cape, which I just highlighted right now, being maybe the state flag or province flag, Terraport, and just like that main Brashovian province. As well as this, Birkeland does have a small cape as well, which was released, I believe, alongside the Inyolan cape, and it's a pretty cool cape in itself. And we're moving on to the last segment. That's going to have to conclude it for today's video. If you guys found this entertaining, informative in any kind of way, do let me know. I really appreciate any support you guys can give me. Share this with your friends. Like the video if you like this. Subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. And make sure you comment down below what ideas you want to see next. I cannot do this without you guys telling me ideas. Also, I should have probably disclaimed this in the early portion of the video, but I didn't. I am sorry for the mic quality. I'm improving my video quality, but I don't know what to do. Mic quality. Don't worry, I'll figure it out eventually. We have one more video to do after this regarding factions, but after that, that's pretty much going to conclude it all. Anyways, pretty much just, yeah, that's pretty much it.